Hello, 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 hello. We are getting things ready. La 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 la. I gotta make sure. See if it's working. Okay, there it is. Okay. And there we go. Load. Oh shit. Despite my desire to act. Okay. Okay. Despite my desire to act, for the time being, I couldn't do anything but to wait for a quadratus answer. Even if the letter had left that very morning, Meriden was far away, and I knew I couldn't hope for an answer for at least 3 days. I had to chomp at the bit and act naive. My first thought was to mingle with our court so I could clear my head, but then pretending that nothing was up and feeding rumors to justify my father's absence was more frustrating than doing nothing. Even majority percent irritated me, despite her advanced stage. As soon as she turned inquisitive eyes onto me, I had the impression that she managed to perceive the truth. So I had taken refuge in the office, in the library, hoping to read a little, but in honesty, even if I managed to unscramble a few words, my thoughts were far away. My mind was replaying the events of the previous night, asking myself again and again if I had done the right thing. Your Grace. He suddenly realized, as if he suddenly realized where we were. The master of murmurs repeated his interjection with a low, albeit just zealous tone. Your Grace, we have an urgent problem in our hands. This preamble was long enough to make me abandon the boring reading, and I put down my book, ensuring there weren't any discreet ears in the library before I invited him to continue. After he made sure no one else was around, he pulled back his hood and resumed his explanation. I don't know about that. As you know, I've asked to keep an eye on the 3 people that were aware of your father's death. However, barely 24 hours have passed and I've been told immediately. Damn it, mate, I knew she couldn't be trusted. I have been told that the maid immediately went to a noble, the Baron Tobolivs, instead of leaving town. I don't know what. I conducted an investigation and I'm almost positive the 2 are in a relationship. I interrogated her colleagues who confirmed that she had a rich benefactor for a few months already, and everything hints at his name. I didn't really care about my servant's romantic endeavor, but I wanted to know where he was going with this. Are you afraid she'll speak? I mean, she probably already just did to her lover. Yes, and I'm afraid the Baron will want to use that information to gain more power. Is he trying to blackmail us? No, we had nothing of the sort, but tonight he's holding a party to which half of the noble currently in the capitals are invited. That cannot be a coincidence. No event justifies for such party to be improvised. It's improper. I bet the situation is very odd, but do we have any proof? Don't care, get rid of them. Unfortunately, no, Majesty, only suspicion. I took in a few deep breaths while pondering the situation and calculated the risk. If these allegations happened to be true, I would be stuck between a rock and a hard place. Not only my plan to gain time utterly failed utterly, but everyone would know of my deception. What the fuck do you mean deception? Moreover, if she didn't speak, now that I knew the maid's alliance, I wasn't so sure it was a good idea to give her a better position down the line. That would give her more opportunity to spy on me for the Baron. What are her options? There aren't many, Majesty. Either we do nothing and wait to see what happens while preparing to counteract the possible rumors, or we have them both assassinated to eliminate any risk of leaks. But the Baron is an influential man. There are far fewer chances of his death passing unnoticed than that of a servant. Tired, I massaged my temple to help think about the best course of action. Death would most definitely be the best way to stop someone from talking, but the reason I wanted to avoid such method in the first place was because they disgust me, and they could have unwelcome repercussions for me. Would allying myself to the Baron be a possibility? It's true that information would give him power, but not as much as having an empress owe him a favor. I think that could work, but do you really want to start your role indebted to such ambitious man? No. And indeed, that was a risk. I could double-cross him once the danger has passed, and that would be undeniably have after effects. Do you have any idea of what he wants? I would like to know what I'm getting myself into. He wants to be leader, of course. If I had a few days, I would have been able to tell you, but I can't answer you in this time for the party. Then once more, I closed my eyes for a better compliment in my options. Okay. I want to do this, but no, don't reason. You don't ever reason with someone. One, two, three. I would want to wait, but I feel it's just going to backfire, so that seems wise, Your Majesty. Nothing should be left to fate in your possession. With a somber face, I nodded, trying to... I'm betting someone's here, listening. I nodded, trying to convince myself that my actions were justified, so as to avoiding having regrets. After all, she was the one who had betrayed my trust by promising to leave town, only to rush into the arms of a political opponent. I'll send one of my men right away. I trust his skills, and I know he won't disappoint you. Very well, I'm counting on you. The master of murmurs gave an elegant bow and departed, leaving me open once more with doubts gnawing at my mind. There's no doubts. I waited for the end of the day with more nervousness than usual, unable to concentrate, fearing the arrival of Master Murmur as much as I hoped for it. Day 8, night, it's nighttime. It was already late when the Master of Murmurs knocked on my door to inform me of the situation's evolution. It was not good. I knew well these methods were common in murky water in which I now swam, but this was my first time and I couldn't shake it off. The feeling that there were many variables that could turn against me. I'm pretty sure she already told people, and they were going to be like, oh, where is she? She told a lot of us. My agent came back. Everything went as planned, Your Grace. You can rest easy. The Baron died slipping on in a staircase. His servant was attacked in a shady neighborhood. The Master of Murmuring smiles gave me a chill. He, on the other hand, seemed particularly proud of his murders, disguised as accidents. Although I didn't share his enthusiasm, but I was still relieved how this was all over and that I never had to hear about it again. I was sure the two guards are trustworthy. In any case, they haven't shown hints of betrayal so far. According to standards, they are promising, hard-working recruits. I think the perspective of a promotion truly delights them. I nodded, reassured, surprised how heavy my head suddenly felt. After all that excitement, my fatigue was catching up with me, and the master whispered notice, giving me a thoughtful smile. You can rest easy, Your Grace. I nodded as I straightened up and stretched a little. My shoulders were so stiff, and clearly I needed some rest instead. Thank you. Remember to rest too. Day 10. It's been 2 days. Chapter 2. Your Grace, Your Grace, this is a little premature, but should you become Empress, you will need to manage the kingdom's policies. I'd like to make sure you are ready for such task. I can always learn more. As you already know, the kingdom's policy influence how your subject and noble and otherwise view of you, but what resources will be available to us. You can set tax rates for the people and nobility. As you may guess, the higher ups they are, the less happy people will be, but the faster the coffers will fill up. But there are many things much more subtle. For example, you can decide how open to trade our borders should be, and which sectors of the economy you would like to focus on. We must consider how to protect ourselves from our neighbors, especially bearing in mind that vigorous warlike inclination, but maintaining an army is very, very expensive. As such, investigating in diplomacy may offer better results in the long run. And finally, we have to manage our priests. Their influence on the people is immersed, and they have infrastructures all over the nation. Offerings made to them are never wasted. We set up regular periods of time during which collecting earnings, but there should be a short delay before the consequence of any changes can be made seen. The story, okay. Okay, is that clearer now? Yes, I understand. Yes, even if that's very theoretical. That's true, but the best way to approach the subject in a more concrete manner is to look into it yourself. Even if I'll be doing the work after my coordination, may I try my hand at it now. I'm sure there are things that I like to change in my father's policy. Okay. Mother seems fine. Controlled. Oh, sorry, bud. Look, I was trying to get up. I think it looks okay for now. That sounds most excellent to me. You're great. Dawn had barely arisen when I heard a kerfuffle at the door. I immediately recognized Robert's voice. I got up with the phone and quickly slipped on a dress, trying to make myself presentable before opening the door. High priest, what is going on? I tried to remain as neutral as possible, but I was burning up with a mixture of anxiety and excitement because I had a solid guess what this was about. The court, he answered, Your Majesty. Nervous, he handed me 2 letters bearing the recognizable seal of His Holiness. Your name is written on them. I didn't dare open them, Your Highness. Good, because it's not for you. Exhilarated, I looked at the 2 pieces of paper were about to seal my future. One official, while the other was especially for my eyes only. I would have liked to be alone while reading them, but clearly I had taken Robert all he had not to break the wax seal off the official letter, and now he stared at me impatiently. My throat was dry as I grabbed the paper cutter to open the correspondence. My heart was beating so fast, I had the impression that everyone in the room could hear it. Lady Lydia of Turnefil, daughter of Magnus V of Terrafil, the fierce, the Emperor of Calada. The 4 have spoken and recognize you as the legitimate heir of the crown of Calada. by virtue of your blood, and despite your gender. By decree I convene the word of God. May your government be respected by all, the just and the pious. May your rule prosper and never stray from the forest path. Faith, Venimer Quadrature, by the grace of the four. Yay! I was shaking so hard my legs gave in. I had to sit on my bed so I didn't fall over. I had done everything in my power to make this moment happen, and now it was upon me. I was engulfed by the emotions that I had accumulated in the past week. Robert seemed to understand, and he bowed to leave me for a few long seconds so I could take in the quadrantis world. Finally he spoke. That's marvelous. That's marvelous. Your Majesty, I knew the four would acknowledge your illegitimacy. Almost stiffly I nodded and tried to recover my usual composure. With the quadrantal support, my coronation was sure to happen, but that didn't mean I was getting rid of enemies or other contenders. I couldn't let my guard down. Yes, the time has come for everyone to know the truth. Gather the nobles in the castle at dawn and prepare the pigeons. He nodded, a grave expression on his face. Yes, we can't wait any longer. The secret of your father couldn't be kept indefinitely in this case. It was true that his absence had been going on for a while. Possible illness worried people just as much as a possible death. It was fortunate that the letters hadn't taken too long to arrive. Well, I'll be there. I just need to get finished getting ready. Of course, Your Majesty, I'll have the bells rung, and at such early time, I don't suppose we can gather everyone less than an hour. Approved with a polite nod, and soon watched him leave and close the door. Finally on my own, and I collapsed on the bed and let myself float. I wept in pure childish joy as I read the quadrantis letters over and over again. I knew I had plenty of challenges ahead of me, but this was the first victory against the tradition, and I intended to savor it for as long as I could. Only after a few long minutes had passed, I decided to open the second letter that was addressed to me personally. Lady Lydia, dear Turnful, thank you for your generous donation to the Marian Great Temple. Please know that I will never forget my friends, and I'm sure we will get along marvelously. Venimer Quadrature, but a grace of four. Happy with my decision, I sighed and carefully put the letter away into my desk. I got it from my back leg. Petty promises are easy to forget, but I can perhaps use the parchment to remind him of his support one day, or to show some reluctance of noble just how powerful I was one of the most powerful men in the continent. In my case, I believe that my actions had managed to sway him, but I was quite proud of that. Now the court I had to sway, and I knew this wasn't going to be an easy task. Afternoon. Day 18? Holy crap. Make sure not to overexert yourself, Lydia. You spent your days locked up in this office. You should get out a bit to clear your head. Come come take a walk with this old lady. I had left the door open, although I hadn't heard majority came over. I wasn't surprised since her perfume, which she applied too liberally, had filled the room. I almost felt nostalgic for a moment. Contrary, she must have to what she seemed to suggest. I wasn't here for pleasure. I was overwhelmed. Invitations, solicitors, promises. I spent the last 3 days flattering Cullinan nobility to ensure that nothing would interfere with the coronation. In 3 weeks of time, I still had a lot to do. Or perhaps you can fool everyone else, but you far from being an old lady, Majority. I know you're far from being an old lady, Majority. My reply made her laugh, a hoarse, joyous sound that belied what I said. Oh, I still have the same quick wit I had when I was 20, but I'm afraid my winging moan disagree with you. Sweetheart, come on, don't be cruel. You already broke my heart when you didn't let me in on the secret. I put my quill down with a sigh and closed it. I don't think we should trust her. Hoping to connect, content would not be dried out. She had taught me many things, even if I had grown stronger than her in a few areas. It was obvious that she still used guilt like no one else. She almost made me feel bad for hiding my father's death from her. I don't trust her. You know full well I didn't have a choice. The information had to be disclosed to a few people as possible. I know, sweetheart. But I would have liked to be there for you. These past few days wasn't been easy. No, they weren't indeed. As I promised, I quietly walked by Majority's side through the garden, but we couldn't take one step before some servant and noble offered me their condolences. I am so tired of pretending to be sad. I know your father was a flawed man. She paused, looking at me. She seemed to hesitate to say something. I looked at her intrigued. There was so much contempt in her voice when she spoke of his flaws. She obviously knew something about him, something I probably didn't. But no matter what anyone says, he was still your family, your blood. That's bullshit. Just because someone's family doesn't mean you have to accept them. You shouldn't hate on him like that. It's not healthy, especially now that he's dead. I sensed her tone that I'd get nothing more from her, at least not today. I didn't insist, draping myself once again in my dignity. No, that's too easy. You can't just die and expect that all your mistakes will be forgiven. True. It's not like as if he chose to die, and so doesn't change anything. Fact. She sighed, and I decided to change the subject before I had to listen to another lecture of importance of family bonds. But since we're speaking of forgiveness, I need your help. Suspicious, she frowned, although she kept me walking calmly between flower beds. I would like it if you gave me Fear Castle. That old duplicated fortress, what for? Pretending to embrace some insects that were flying around the planter, I hesitated for a second. I needed the fortress to buy farm's loyalty, but majority had a deep hatred for him. I didn't like lying to her, but I couldn't risk that she refused my request. Oh, I think telling the truth, and then if he starts being an asshole or something, then we just lie. But I think we should give her a chance. I need it because I'm gonna give it back to the farm. Upon hearing my words, Marjorie froze, trembling with anger. You want to give it back to those foul traitors? Do you know how many men died storming it? Do you know what this fortress cost me? I knew she'd react that way. Even though the war had ended 20 years ago, she still bore painful memories of it. I know that, but all of it took place before my birth. It is time that we move forward and reconcile with the farms, at least unless we repeat the same mistake of the past. I don't want another farm revolt on the rule. I need their support for my coordination, and to obtain that I need Fear Castle. You know just as well as I do, it's only a ruin now, an old pile of rubble left on steep and barren land. There's nothing more than a symbol. My old heart grumbled for a few long minutes, but she was forced to concede my point, even if it cost her. Do what you want, but believe me, once you become interested, I'll call in for a favor. Thank you, Marjorie. I knew I could count on you. I wonder if that favor's going to be something that we can't do. Relieved, I finally let out a breath I haven't realized I've been holding. Knowing the affection Marjorie held for me, I knew that I ended up convincing her, but as I had a meeting with the farm here in 3 days, I didn't have a lot of room for errors. With one less issue weighing on my heart, I continued to walk with a bounce in my step, forgetting for a few minutes of the court's problems and plots. Afternoon. This was my first time meeting Theodore of Haram. I had heard him described as cold and distant man, but I still didn't expect him to be so glacial. Is this save? Factor 2. This was my first, I waited for him to reply to my greeting, as courtesy demanded, but the silence between us was deafening. He only stood there staring at me impassive without even so much of a good morning or nice to meet you, while I had to keep smiling and not lose a face. I had better things to do than engage in a staring contest. Consequently, I swallowed my pride and gestured to one of the chairs around the staff table where a large map of Caladia had been laid out. I imagine you must be tired after such a long trip. Please sit down. I thought he was going to stay standing there, but he did finally sit down without another word, while I took a seat not too far from him. Like I said in my letter, I'd like for the turner fell and the firm to reconcile. The tensions between our two families had lasted long enough, and I imagine your sudden desire to make peace had nothing to do with your up-and-coming coronation. The mocktails are eating out of your hands, but the violators will never support you, which means very much you need us. Coming as he was from a lineage of somewhat barbaric reputation, he had done a fairly clever analyzation of the situation, but I didn't let that stop me. I very much needed a bit strong. Should I remind you that I have support of the older, and by extension of the four? People will follow me. That said, I do wish for my coronation to go as smoothly as possible, and the rest of my rule as well. I'd like to avoid bloodshed altogether as possible, and I fear that the ancestral enmity between our two families might lead us to do just that. Neither you or I were born at the farm revolt took place. It took us to decide if we wanted to perpetrate this cycle of conflict or if we want to build something new. He took a thoughtful expression and observed me with a renewed interest. It's easy for you to forget you're on the side of the victor. You haven't been rehashing your resentment for 20 years. Precisely. It wouldn't be easier for you to forget as well, especially if it's been haunting you for that long. Even if we were inclined to reconsider your offer for reconciliation, how could we trust you? I won't give you a history lesson, but the revolt didn't happen for nothing. He was following me exactly where I was leading. It took me some effort to repress the smile, and keep business like countenance. Firstly, I'm not the same person as my father or my grandfather. It is unfair to distrust me as a result of their actions. And secondly, I'm ready to make a gesture of goodwill if the Frams are ready to make one as well. I'm listening. If you openly support my ascent to the throne, I'm ready to return to your family the Fear Castle, Citadel, and the lands that go with it. This time I savored the true surprise in his eyes when I handed him the deed I had taken the time to prepare. As you know, it was confiscated after the revolt, since it's located at the strategic crossroads between Trinifel and Montreal. I thought it would be a strong gesture to return it to you, but also quite a symbol of trust. After glancing over the signed pledge, Theodore looked at me once more with defiance this time. Oh, he's not going to take it? There's no doubt that my family will appreciate the gesture. I was already basking in my victory when he continued, his voice cold. But as for me, it only makes me see that you're one of those politicians ready to use every dirty trick in the book if it gives you what you want. I had been warned that you were the rightful heir of that snake who used to lead Monolith, but now I'm seeing it with my own eyes. So yes, indeed, we will accept your offer in support of your coronation. but because unlike you, we stick to our words. But you should know you are not fooling me. I'll remain at the palace to make sure you don't stab us in the back as soon as you achieved your goals. In the end, his analysis of the situation, or indeed of my character, wasn't as clever as I thought. I was ambitious. There's no denying that. I wasn't shy about it either. But my desire to make peace was just as sincere. Stay in the castle if you wish. The dukes are welcome here at any time, but you'll be eaten alive by the court if you always speak your mind so plainly, my lord. He shrugged condescendingly before getting up. Oh, I'm very capable of defending myself, Majesty. I just chose not to use the same venom as you do. That doesn't mean I don't know how to protect myself from its sting. No one likes being called a snake, but even if it was unpleasant to be treated with such hostility by someone to whom I never done anything, I had gotten what I wanted. I didn't wish to risk making him change his mind by starting an argument. Time will tell. I do hope you'll change your mind about me, but as long as the Faram uphold their end of the bargain, you're free to think whatever you like. Don't say that as if you were doing me a favor, Your Grace. Even the empresses don't have dominion over the people's thoughts. And in order to keep me from having the last word of our pointless bearing, he immediately turned to his hill and slammed the door. Furious, I was engaged in a deep breathing exercise when Alden walked in. How did things go with Theodore of Rome? I shrugged with a sigh. I suppose it was all right, at least. The Farham should support my coordination. That's all that matters. How about you? Did you convince Leon? As you suspected, he's not inclined to support you. Apparently, he and his brother feared that Khalida will become a second Eritrea. I raised my eyes to the sky, not hiding my exasperation at these words, as if were enough for a woman to lead the empire for us to become a matriarchy. Have you at least convinced them not to openly oppose the coordination? Yes, as you suggested, I implied that a civil war wouldn't be good for business and that you are easy to manipulate. Was that enough? Yes and no. This man's smarter than I thought. He took this opportunity to claim the position of treasurer. Treasurer, look at him go. Since he believes you're incompetent, he thinks the only way for him to ensure the country stays on the right track and that Volader's economical interests are preserved. Upset, I bit my lip while I pondered the implications of such nomination. I didn't want him to stand in my way at every council meeting, but there was no valid reason for me to refuse this privilege either. I imagine before asking for that position, he encouraged the current treasurer to retire. That's correct. The pretty house by the seaside is waiting for him, and now he can't wait to be gone. I imagine we don't have a choice then. I'll summon Lee tomorrow and pretend to be a naive and genuine who's happy to let him take on this big responsibility. I sighed heavily and Alden stepped forward towards me with a discreet and amused smile. Are you sure you'll manage? manage playing as easy influence, playing the easily influenced and Jin. I sighed, offering him a reassuring smile. It would not be fun having a tea with such conservative man, but there was nothing insurmountable about it. Oh, don't worry about me. I can play dumb when I need. I spent my whole life appearing less dangerous than I really am. I should be able to prend justice once. He might have some nasty surprises down the line, however. He might have some nasty surprises down the line, however. He nodded with a gleam of pride in his eyes. I trust you, Lynn. Day 25! Coronation! I think. Your Grace, news of your nomination to the throne has quickly spread. We received this letter addressed to you from the Queen of Mavia of Israel. My respects, Empress of Kalia. I wish to write to you so I can congratulate you on your recent nominations to the throne, as well as offer my condolence for your father's death. Assuming power is a heavy responsibility, but I have been told that you are very capable, and I know Kalida is in good hands. Kalida and Ezra had always maintained a solid diplomatic relations, and I hope they will continue, nay, prosper under your rule. Up until now, the matriarchs has always been opposed to non-commercial negotiation, but your nomination has made them curious. We dare to believe you in your presence. My ambassadors and myself will cease to be subjected to the patron and consenting that your predecessors and veritable display, and that made my country's past rulers wary of further interactions. The gods whispered to me that your ascension to the throne will signal the dawn of a new era for the continent. Therefore, I wish you support as I can with the matriarchic assent. I have decided to mandate an emissary whose role will it be liaised between our two nations. Her name is Asha Elizabeth. She's an exceptional woman who I hope will be welcomed into your palace as she deserves. With all my empathy, Mavia, Queen of Israel. That's wonderful news, as I'll need as many allies as possible during my rule. Indeed, diplomacy is a delicacy of art, but a fundamental quality to prosperity. You'll need it to woo the neighboring countries and ensure their goodwill towards us. Okay, but we will talk about that later. For now, we have a coordination to organize. This is cool. I like it. I might get the game. Oh yeah, the big day has come. Impatient and nervously, I placed in my bedroom, checking my hair and my outfit for the umpteenth time. Let's save. 3. Nothing is easy. As per usual, I was supposed to display pose, elegance, and grandeur, all while remaining humble. Alright then. Despite all that I felt ready and dignified, I only waited to hear from Alexander, who would escort me, since my father wasn't in the state to do so. Time was passing by at an furiously slow pace, When I finally he knocked in the wall and walked into the room, clad in his ceremonious attire. That armor and the pop's cape that went with it didn't suit him. I suppressed a smile when I saw him squeezed into it. Ready, Your Grace. Almost timidly, I nodded while he politely bowed to let me pass in front of him, then followed suit, respectfully walking one step behind. Her Grace Lydia de Turnfeld, Princess of Caliata, Duchess of Turnfeld, Lady of Vermont, blessed by the Herald. I closed my eyes and savored this title that I was hearing for the last time. When the Herald would announce me next, I would be Empress of Caladia. Ooh, look at all these people. I met almost all of them, except him. I didn't remember ever having to see the throne in this pack clearly. I had been told that the entire castle had gathered here. It hadn't been an exaggeration. I tried to hide my nervousness as I walked at a slow pace, my head held high, my eyes leveled at the throne. My curiosity slowly got the better of me while I tried to remain dignified as I could. I let my gaze wander discreetly in search of familiar faces. Alden, of course, stood right next to my throne, his face impassive, but his eyes bright enough that I could see the pride reflected in them. Robert was there too, my future crown already held in his hand. He did his best to appear imposing as his function required him to be. In the noble section, I recognized Leon of Villador, surrounded by his family, conversing with the other nobles who were very familiar to me. To my surprise, I also spotted Theodore leaning against the pillar, and its glooming aura seemed to hold the people at bay, so that he wasn't drowning in unknown faces. As I passed her, Majority gave me a smile. I felt her perfume reach me, calming me despite its loud scent. Finally, the last steps stretched before me as I suddenly realized that I couldn't hear the crowds hub above anymore, only the sound of my heart beating in my temple. Ceremoniously, I knelt in front of this throne that was still forbidden to me. As soon as I caused the phrase, whomever had the brilliant idea to place a small cushion between my knees were a blessing proceeding at an infuriating slow pace. I listened to them only half an ear, but I displayed the most serious and focused to my honor of solemnity of the ceremony. The day Robert had asked me if I wanted to celebrate tradition by taking the name of one of my preceders, or if I'd rather start my own dynasty. Keep my name. I understood the importance of tradition, but I was too much proud of who I was to give up my name, my identity. I wanted to carry it with pride for as long as I would rule. I didn't know the sermon by heart, but I knew it would be soon ending, since the whole place seemed to grow livelier with each passing second. Both crowd and Robert's voice vibrated with renewed excitement until the key moment came. I closed my eyes, braced myself for the weight of the surprisingly light crown that he delicately placed upon my head. Rise up, Lydia, I.D. Turnefil, Empress of Kalidas. First of her name, Duchess Turnefil, Lady of Vermont, chosen by the four and blessed by the Hordle. You shall bow no longer, since from this day and until your death, in the name of the gods, I entrust you with the charge of guiding your subject, making Kalia shine brighter for decades to come. I slowly rose and turned around to sit on the throne that was meant for me. I opened my eyes to look at the crowd. It was suddenly went quiet, almost as a religious silence had settled in for a few seconds. Long live Empress Lydia! Alexander's voice resounded next to me, oddly loud as it shattered the only dream-like moment. Cheers arose from all sides of spectacular chaos. The general enthusiasm was contagious. I caught myself smiling, waving at the crowd with a bit too much vigor. And we're gonna call it there. And we will celebrate this celebration next time. I'm gonna go. Chapter 4. And thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna upload those 2 episodes. And yeah, type !Discord to join my Discord to know when I'm live. And then type !INFO for more links. So thank you guys for watching. I will be back later tomorrow. Bye.